Here's what one of the problems is that we have a good idea, or we see one of our friends have a good idea. They started selling stuff on eBay and we think, you know what, I reckon I can do that better than they're doing it. And then all of a sudden we say, yeah, I should be in business. I should really get into this. Now, there's a couple of people who should be in business, and there's probably a couple more that shouldn't be in business at all. And it's okay, because we're all different. Some are worker bees, some is the queen bee, some are lazy bees, we just don't know what we're doing. So it's like everything I say to people, put some risk assessment in there, okay? Where it really gets a little bit tricky is people who been in a job for 15, 20 years get retrenched. Or they might have been in, the services, police force, teacher, they get a fair bit of a payout and they're thinking, look, what am I going to do now? Then all of a sudden these franchise ideas come up, or somebody's got another idea for them to put money in, and they think, yeah, that's great, let's get stuck into it. But they haven't looked at, do they have the right personality to get into their business? I've got one client who wants to have their own business and used to work in a business 9 to 5, went to work 9 to 5. So all of a sudden their mentality for their own business is, well, I'm going to do it between 9 to 5. I'm sorry, that just doesn't work, okay? It's your business, it's up to you to push hard. But equally, you can't be a total workaholic where you actually have to work because you're probably worth $5 an hour. So let's break it back to a couple of things. First question is, if you're going to start your own business, one, how much would you pay somebody else to do that job, right? So if you're going to pay somebody else $60,000 to do the job, that's $30 an hour. Then you have to work out, well, how many hours am I doing each week and how much money I'm getting back? Look, we had one client a few years back who used to run a bus service, and they used to take people on tours. But the poor lady was spending all the morning and all the night before baking because she was giving the clients food on the trip. And so then I asked her, I said, why are you doing that? She said, because if I didn't, they wouldn't pay because I'd have to put the prices up and it'd cost them too much money. I said, but you're effectively paying yourself $4 an hour. Like, seriously, you couldn't get somebody else to do this for $4 an hour. So it's not worth your time and money and effort to be doing it for $4 an hour. So, first question, how much would it cost to have somebody else do that job? Second question you have to ask yourself is, if you're going to go into your own business, there's a couple of different businesses. Like, you can buy into an existing business, you can buy a franchise, you can do all that sort of stuff. And we can discuss that a bit later. But really have a good look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you prepared to do what it takes? 10,700 companies last year went into insolvency, okay? There's this golden rule that, companies don't make it through the first 5 years. So the problem is, one really thing, a personal attribute that you have to have in business is sticking power, right? You need to be able to roll with the highs and lows. And as I tell a lot of people, it's okay to be low. Just allow yourself the fact, because you can't have the highs without the lows. So really ask yourself this question. Can your family cope with supporting you to start your own business? It doesn't matter whether you're young and at uni and still at home. It doesn't matter if you've moved out of home now. It doesn't matter if you have a young family. It doesn't matter if you have a middle-aged family. It doesn't matter if you're in retirement age. Do you have the support from your friends and family to do the business? Have you got the emotional support and mental support? Do you have the tenacity to stick with the business through times are tough? And really, are you the sort of person who's not going to take no for an answer and do what they need to do to get their business up and running? Now, here's the key. Here's the massive key. Are you going to be smart enough to get a team around you that can advise you and tell you what you're doing? Because if you know everything, then guess what? You don't need to be in business because you already know everything. But you need to have a good accountant, you need to have a good bank manager, you need to have some good IT people these days, you need to have some good marketing people, or you need to have a network of people that you can rely on. That honestly is one of the key things, being open to learning and being teachable. Sometimes you're working for a company, and it might be a family company, and you're working really hard, and you see the owners, they're on their boats now and they've done this and they've done that. And maybe you haven't been around since they started their business, but I can guarantee they had a pretty tough time when they started their business. So you all of a sudden think, you know what, I can do this better than they can do, and you can go start your own business. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's great to have your own business. Now, if everybody's ever looked at Rich Dad or Poor Dad or gone to one of these seminars about how you can have an internet business or you can have this business or that business or network marketing, they always tell you you need to have your own business. Now, I don't disagree with this at all, okay? I don't disagree. But if you're going to have your own business, you need to have systems and policies and things in place in order to make that business run. Do not kid yourself just because you're a worker for someone else that's going to make you a good business owner. It's about management, it's about leadership, it's about financial capacity, and it's about ability to roll with the punches. One thing you might say is, well, my boss is a not very nice person and I think they've got many different flaws. Well, I'll tell you what, the difference is, as an accountant, I see hundreds of businesses. Now, a lot of people have a lot of flaws, but they are doing something right to make money. And nothing's easy in life. If it was, everybody would be doing it. So make sure you're prepared for your business. Make sure that you've got the right attitude to make it happen. And don't kid yourself just because somebody else is making a good living out of it that you're going to be able to do it. Here's another thing that happened to us. We had another client who bought into a chain which happens to be in Westfield. And then all of a sudden, a lot of cash flow started coming through. So basically, as a husband and wife, they had some savings of about 150 grand, and he got a payout because he'd been in a business for the last 20 odd years. So he got $200,000 payout. Nice little earner, right? But mid-40s. I will buy into this business as a franchise in Westfield. Well, then all of a sudden, they bought a BMW. All of a sudden, the children started going to private school. All of a sudden, they had all this money, but it was cash flow. It was money coming in the door. And all of a sudden, they didn't understand that money through the door doesn't mean money in the bank to keep. Now, that lasted for 18 months. And I tell you what, they don't have the BMW anymore, the kids aren't in private school anymore, and they don't have the 350 grand that they had saved up anymore. So don't get in a false economy about starting up your own business. You've got to make sure that you're the right person to do it and you get the right advice from people before you go into it. When you start your own business, it's extremely difficult. You've got laws, you've got taxation issues to deal with, you've got legal responsibility, you've got using a logo off the internet, which you're going to get sued for. You're paying somebody to do business cards for you, and guess what? You actually don't own the logo that you've bought. You've got to worry about workers' compensation insurance. You've got to worry about paying people the right amount of money. You've got to choose your business structure, whether it's an individual, a partnership, a company, or a trust. It's not as simple as, hang on a second, I'm going to flick a switch and I'm a great worker and now I'm going to be a great boss, great mentor, great manager, great leader, great fiscal manager, and an all-round nice guy. And guess what? Turn up to work every day with a happy voice and everybody's going to just do fantastic things.